we're going to discuss budget versus premium, or no budget versus a little bit of budget. Both of these guns though, when we're talking about budget, we're going to talk about a longer range 223, 5.56 build. And both of these are actually factory rifles, which we'll talk about, right? And we're also going to help you determine which way is the right way to go and which way is the wrong way, or what you may want, right? Arguably, both of these are fantastic because they're both very accurate. And that's probably the number one thing that I'll tell you, right? And we'll talk about why both of them are accurate. Starting off with, I hate inaccurate rifles. If an AR cannot hold sub MOA or better, 10-shot groups, I probably don't like it, and it has no business being a DMR for you, right? So for me, both of these rifles are capable of doing that with federal gold medal match 77 grain ammunition. So let's talk about the one in my hand first. This is our more budget-friendly option. This is an Armalite. This is actually their 3-gun model, like the 18-inch. It does have an adjustable gas block, which is really nice for tuning it. It has an 18-inch stainless steel match barrel on it. It is a 223, 1 and 8 twist. So it does very well stabilizing the 77 grain bullets. It's very accurate. In fact, I helped Andrew set this up so we could go do a nighttime gas gun match, which I used this rifle being mine. So this is Andrew's rifle. On the front end here, it does have a Q Trash Panda. And then you'll notice like it has a very expensive bipod. Bipods are your source to stabilize your rifle on long range shooting. Stop using to be frank, right? Harris bipods, they suck when you start comparing them to other stuff. And in fact, to be completely fair, these MDT bipods are very expensive. I mean, both of them are like $600 to $900. Andrew takes this bipod off this rifle, and I take this bipod off this rifle, and they go on bolt guns, they go on everything. They're quick detach for ARCA and for pick rails. So they're very easy to take on and off. Kind of like the old buy once, cry once. I highly recommend the MDT bipods. In fact, I've gotten to the point now with this lightweight one or this regular Sky Pod that they almost make an Atlas feel junky. And Atlas are not junky, right? They're obviously very good bipods. So this one here being 18-inch, it does not have any kind of ambi features other than it has an ambi safety on it, right? It's a standard 90-degree throw ambi safety. It does have a Radiant Raptor charging handle. The rest of it though is pretty standard. So it's, got a standard like mil-spec type bolt and all that stuff. But the trigger on this thing is fantastic. It's a Timney trigger and it breaks so crisp, so clean. It has no take up. It's the perfect DMR type trigger on here. Barrel profile is like a mid-weight profile barrel, so it's not super heavy. The handguard design on here is good. It fits very well. It's very rigid. It's light. Then it has plenty of M-lock on the bottom at 3, 6, and 9. And then some there in the end. Now this is like a DMR, so I don't need all the extra stuff. Chances are it's not even gonna get a light on it in some chances, right? So this thing is a very accurate gun. It does shoot 1 MOA without a question asked. It's very simple to do. And in fact, we are finding this thing could hold about a 1.5-inch group for around 20 shots. How do you complain about that? Now you're gonna ask the cost. So these rifles, generally speaking, are around 2,000 bucks. They pretty much never cost that if you know how to use the internet. Now with the Armalite M15, it's a really nice rifle. There was a lot of different options out there. He picked this up for like 1,000 bucks. Okay, so like if you know how to shop around, you're getting a hell of a rifle for 1,000 bucks. The ergo grip isn't my favorite, but shooting precision stuff with it, it happens to actually work pretty darn well. The standard mil-spec, 90-degree throw safety is okay. It's ambi, it works fine. And then across the top here, you'll see we do actually have a Vortex Strike Eagle 3 to 18 in here. First focal plane, this is MOA because I like to shoot MOA. You can shoot whatever you want when you shoot, but I'll keep shooting Granddaddy's, reticle system. Now on the back here is Reptilia mount, and then we have a 90 top mount here. Now this is the Defender XL. This is a 3 MOA dot. It's a great optic for the top of here, and it just works really well. In that match, we had to actually shoot some targets that are close range with the red dot at night, and then transition back and forth with the optic. It does have illuminated reticle, and the Strike Eagle series of 3 to 18s, the 5 to 25s, they're just a really great overall option. If you're not trying to break the bank, you want a bunch of features, good warranty, and you know, pretty good glass. And I think that they work really well. You get all those things, and we'll show you guys some accuracy and things like that today, and we'll shoot them because these two rifles do shoot a little different, right? There's a reason this one's mine, right? And I really like it. It's really expensive. It's you know, it's borderline, like, I don't know why some people would ever own it because it's that expensive, right? But to be fair, sometimes I'm a somewhat serious shooter. I like to shoot some competitions here and there. I'm very, very particular when it comes to accuracy. I've owned a lot of ARs. I've also gotten rid of a lot of ARs because they're just not that accurate. I have not shot an AR as much as I've shot this Mitchell Defense MD15. This was like their SOIDC. Now they kind of went away from that naming, but at the heart of this rifle is a proof research carbon fiber barrel. 16-inch, you know, 1-in-8 twist, 223 wild. It's the most accurate AR we have ever tested, without a fraction of a doubt. This gun holds about a 1/2-inch group for 10 shots. No questions asked. I mean, it's like the same whole kind of group with factory ammunition. It's very, very accurate. In the nighttime gas gun match that we shot, I actually ended up winning it with this rifle. So it's just a really, really great rifle, right? On the front end here, I have a Dead Air Sierra 5. This rifle runs well suppressed. It does not have an adjustable gas block. The front, like I said, I have an MDT bipod up there. That is the double pole, lightweight SkyPod, right? So it's expensive. Like I said before, I already talked about the bipods and how necessary it is to have a good bipod on your rifle. Towards the back here, this is a Neo Mag. This is a Century Sling Keeper. I don't have my sling on it. Towards the back, die-free grip on here with their grip plug. I like the really vertical grip. I like the circumference, and I like how it feels when I'm pulling the trigger. This does have a Geisley trigger in it. It's a good trigger. It's SSAE. You know, is it my like top pick for a accurate trigger? No, I don't think so, right? I think it works really well, and I don't have any issues with it. This gun's 100% reliable. Both of these have been that way. They both have hundreds of, this one has thousands upon thousands of rounds through it. From the day it came out of the box to right now, I've cleaned the barrel twice, and it's got 5,000 rounds through it, and it just continues to shoot sub-MOA. I mean, it shoots sub-MOA with pretty much every ammo I put through it. It's just a phenomenally shooting rifle. The back end, I have a B5. This is their adjustable stock. They're like competition type stock, I would say. It's heavier, right? It has some adjustment, things like that for cheek weld. You know, on the Armalite, it does have the Luth AR. It has a lot of adjustment as well. I'm just not a huge fan of these personally. I think they're a good stock. A lot of guys in 3-gun used to run it when I shot that long time ago. Back end though, Radiant Raptor charging handle. It does have an ambi bolt release, not a lock, right? So I'll use this, you know, a lot of times it's very nice in competition per se, because you start with an open bolt, you get up there, you slam your mag in there, push the button, you're ready to go. It does have a Radian safety selector. It is a 90. I should probably just change it to 45, but I haven't messed with it. And then of course the glass, right? Like there's a huge difference between, and that's arguably, you know, the lights, no contest on this. We're not talking about that. The optic on here is a Steiner T6 XI, the 2.5 to 15 power. Now, I wanted this optic, right? So like I wanted to try it, and I'm like, oh, you know, we'll see how it is. Phenomenal glass. It's way better than this. Is this not usable? No, it works just fine, to be frank. But when you look at the two of them side by side, there's a significant difference in glass. Rightfully so. This optic costs twice as much. So it should be twice as good, right? And it does kind of feel that way optically. Now at nighttime, I look through Andrew's scope, I look through mine, not a huge difference, right? This one does have a larger objective lens. It does come with 2 flip caps for the front and the rear. You know, the rear on here, I don't have it on there, and the reason I don't have it on there is because I didn't like how it interfered with the charging handle if I mounted it to the left or to the right. And then if it was across the top, when it flipped open, it didn't open enough to where it actually didn't block my red dot. So with this one here, I have the Reptilia mount as well, 34 millimeter. Both of these are 20 MOA rails on here. And I did that for both of these and set up Andrews that way because I wanted to not have any limitations when it comes to distance. Now the top here, I did have to go with the tall 90 ROF mount. So to do that, the reason being is these turrets are taller on here, right? And the Acro sits down on the plate for the Acro mount a little bit low. The reason I went with the Acro, a couple reasons, right? For me, I wanted to be able to have an optic that was enclosed. So basically anytime I go to use my emergency, because you know, I don't have backup irons on a full-blown, you know, medium power variable optic scope. it's just it's stupid, right? I'm not taking my scope off to flip up irons. Like that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And I see a lot of other YouTubers do it. So hate me if you want to, but you won't. And then up here with this, I just wanted something that was enclosed. Aimpoint's trusted. The P2s, I think they're a great thing. I'm not a huge fan of them on a pistol, right? But on here, it works really well because it's kind of like I said, it's my secondary aiming device in the event that I need it. 2.5 power on here works really well actually for close range stuff. But it's good. And it keeps grime and dirt out of the optic. You can always look up at it and it's never gonna have anything basically obscuring it. Now granted, an open emitter, you could run into that. So both of these guns are set up completely different. They both accomplish the mission, right? They both accomplish what you're trying to do. Both of these could shoot a match. Arguably, neither one's that much better than the next one, right? So like this rifle's better, right? It's got better glass, it's a little bit more accurate. Run and suppress, this thing actually does a little better, to be fair. But this one's a little bit lighter because it's got the carbon fiber proof barrel. The proof barrels, no doubt it's better, right? Proof makes the best carbon fiber barrels in the game. So, you know, there's not really a wrong option with the two of these. Just know that by spending more money, you are going to get some additional options that you may not have, right? So like the turrets are pretty cool on this, right? With the Steiner, they have little windows and how you adjust it and how you set it is a little bit fancier, right? It's got more adjustment. It's easier to do. It's got more travel, stuff like that. And then the brightness settings and things like that on here are good. This works great, right? It's just a little cheaper. Now eye relief and things like that, this does have a better eye box. You know, granted at 2 power, it's a little bit better than 3 would be, but both of them are very usable and there's no issues with that being said. So let's go shoot these things a little bit on the range. I'll show you guys. But to be fair, the point I want to make really with this video is that you can spend more money and get something like this, but you don't have to. And you can spend arguably half of that and do something and make a build that accomplishes everything that this will. Like I said, this is for me, right? I use the shit out of it, to be frank. So yeah, I spend some money on it, right? It's like a hunting rifle. If I was going to Alaska, I'm not taking a $500 rifle to go on a $5,000 caribou hunt in Alaska. I'm probably gonna spend some money on that rifle to ensure it's right. So if I'm gonna shoot a little bit more, well then I'm probably gonna invest a little bit more in your weapon system. Now, both are great, both shoot great, and there's nothing wrong with either one of them. So let's go down the range, just shoot them a little bit, and then you guys can actually see how they perform. We talked about these things a decent amount in the studio. Now we're actually going to show you guys accuracy. Both of these rifles shoot very, very well. This one does shoot a little bit better than the Armalite, but overall, you know, glass-wise and stuff like, yeah, this glass is better and all that stuff, but you're not gaining that much, right? I like this rifle more. For me, it's more accurate. So we're going to do 2 10-shot groups. This is going to be Federal Gold Medal Match 77 grain. 10 rounds out of this, then we'll go over and do 10 rounds out of the Armalite. The first round I'm going to shoot out of both guns cold bore, as I'm actually just going to shoot it off on the left diamond on our target, and then we'll shoot the other 10 round groups within the smaller ones. Starting off with our Mitchell Defense. Okay. One more. All right, 11 shots there now. Good looking group down there. We're now going to switch into our Armalite. The Mitchell Defense, it looks like we held about a 1 MOA group for a 10 round group. Hard not to be happy with that. When we shot our Mitchell Defense with the 16-inch barrel, the velocity we got out of it was an average of 24.78. Overall, real good. We're not having any huge standard deviations, anything like that. I'm looking at about 11 to 12, so which is really good for factory ammunition out of a gas gun. Now we're going to shoot the Armalite. You'll see that this gun will end up being a little faster. A lot of that is due to the fact it is an 18-inch barrel. Again, we're going to do a cold round Fowler, quote unquote. These guns, you know, I don't really clean my barrels all that much, if at all. So we shouldn't see too much of a change. You know, the Strike Eagle is a good piece of glass for the money. The only thing I would say looking through this versus like the Steiner TX6 is that the eye box isn't as forgiving. Now granted, this does go up to 18 and it's not quite as like crisp and clear. Now you're looking at a scope arguably that's twice as expensive. Again, we're gonna do a Fowler and then I'm gonna shoot the diamond on the bottom right of the target. Okay. Bottom right. One more. It's an excellent looking group. If anything, it might even be better than the one we did on the Mitchell. So guys, that's something to notice, right? The rifle, we're shooting at an average of 25-18. So you are gaining roughly 50 feet per second faster with the 18-inch barrel. This gun, you know, trash panda and all that stuff on here, it shoots great. What I'll tell you is that this has an adjustable gas block. Shooting suppressed is a more pleasant experience. It's not softer necessarily. In the Mitchell, I can tell it's smoother overall, but I do get some gas in my face with that. Not horrible, it's very shootable. Glass-wise on here, this isn't quite as crisp, but you'll notice, even though it's half the price for the glass on here, and it's still good, right? It didn't hinder me from shooting an acceptable or a really good group with this rifle. This thing shoots great. I'll say that the trigger on here, this Timney competition one, is fantastic. It is a really, really good trigger. In fact, it's considerably better shooting these, especially than what that Geisley is. And Geisleys are good, right? What's nice is using our long shot camera, I'm able to sit here without even getting up off my bench and observe these groups at, you know, basically from the bench at 100 yards further away and see them very easily and ultimately dissect our groups, right? So our Armalite actually ended up shooting a better overall group than the Mitchell Defense did. There's no reason to hide that, right? They both shoot great. They're both acceptable guns as far as for how well they shoot. We're looking at about 1.5 inch group for both guns, relatively speaking, as far as for a 10-round shot group, right? With a Fowler that I did for each one of these. They shoot great. The Armalite gas-wise is better because that's an adjustable gas block. How the function feels and all that on the Mitchell's a little bit smoother, and how it returns back is a little bit smoother, and the glass is better. How the scope looks when you look through at the eye box, all that stuff is better. Fitment and all the pieces on there feels just a little bit better, right? But the trigger on this is better. And in general, how it's shooting is better here. So that, you know, that's a telltale sign to tell you that although that Mitchell Defense is a very expensive rifle, it shoots great and it's the rifle I like, you don't have to spend that much. You can get something that's arguably gonna shoot almost just as good, if not the same, and spend less money. So I really, you know, it's hard not to appreciate that. And I think before we close this out, I'm gonna run both of these things off the barricade real quick and show you guys both of them. And then ultimately I'll give you my final thoughts on what you think, or I think you should do. For the last segment here, demonstrating these two rifles, I'm gonna shoot off of our cattle gate. The target's at 125 yards from here, so not far at all. We're just gonna work on a little bit of positional shooting. We'll start off with our Mitchell, and then we'll move into the Armalite. I'm gonna do 3 rounds from each position, then we'll transition into the other rifle. Okay, all the way back up here to the top to close her out. All right. Now we're going to move into our Armalite. Right away, what I can tell you with the longer rifle is that it feels a little bit more stable off the cattle gate, which is nice. The other thing though you have to take into consideration is how it feels from the gate, is getting it through. Guys, that's it. The hard part is telling you and trying to remain honest and telling you you should spend more money on something like that Mitchell Defense, right? Like, I love that rifle. I wouldn't trade this for that personally, right? But to tell you that you should go out and you should spend roughly 8,000 bucks to set up a DMR, that ain't gonna be for everybody. And I don't think you should do that. This still isn't cheap, completely set up. But with everything on here, it's very capable. It's a very accurate rifle. It shoots great. It accomplishes everything you want it to do. Still got a sweet bipod, long rail, rigid, and all that type of stuff. When it comes down to budget or premium on DMRs, SPRs, ARs, pistols, whatever it is, sometimes you do gain some things with the extra price, right? But that doesn't mean you can't accomplish a lot of the same goals, if not all of them, using something a little bit cheaper. Guys, I hope this helps you decide whether you should spend the premium money on a no budget price tag or spend a little bit less, maintain a budget, and get arguably the same performance.